My name is Emily Carter, and I'm just about 29, a graphic designer living out here in the Boston suburbs. My life is pretty much what you'd call low-key. Most days, it's just me, my laptop, and a never-ending stream of deadlines. I like it that way, honestly. Independent, my own space, no drama. In my living room, there's this huge antique mirror. It's got a heavy, ornate frame, dark wood, all those fancy swirls and carvings. I snagged it at some dusty old shop a couple of years back. Love the vibe, that old world charm. The owner, this sweet old lady with glasses perched on her nose, kept whispering about how old mirrors hold good fortune and they reflect back more than just light. I just smiled and nodded. Cute. I mean, good fortune? Please. I'm all about logic, cold, hard facts. Spirits, curses, magical mirrors? Give me a break. That's for movies and bedtime stories, not real life. My brain just doesn't work that way. Everything has an explanation. Always. I remember this one time. I was maybe 7, staying at my grandma's old house. It was late, super dark, and I was in her bathroom. There was this really old, chipped mirror above the sink. I swear I saw a face in it. Not my face, not exactly. It was blurry, warped, like something was pushing against the glass from the other side. My little kid self was absolutely terrified, freezing stiff, heart doing a drum solo in my chest. For years, that image haunted me. But as I got older, I talked myself out of it. It was just a kid's imagination, right? Maybe I had a fever, or the lighting was awful, casting weird shadows. Or maybe that old glass was just so flawed, it distorted my own reflection into something monstrous. Yeah, that had to be it. I built this whole logical fortress around that memory, brick by brick, until the fear was locked away, a forgotten ghost story for a future me. So, yeah, I'm pretty good at rationalizing. One Tuesday morning, I was hunched over my laptop, sketching out some new logo ideas. My coffee was getting cold, as usual. Every now and then, I'd glance up, letting my eyes unfocus for a second. My gaze always drifted to that big antique mirror in the living room. Just a quick flash of my own reflection, blurred and distant, nothing special. Just me staring back at myself, exactly what a mirror is supposed to do. That afternoon, I got up to grab my mug from the coffee table. I'd been reading a paperback last night, left it face down right beside the lamp. Except now, it was a good inch or two further back, almost touching the wall. I paused. I mumbled to myself. Swear I left it closer. I picked it up, flipped through a few pages. Nah, definitely put it right there. Must have just nudged it without realizing. Or maybe I was more tired than I thought. Probably the latter. I just shrugged, took my coffee, and went back to work. Small things. Happens all the time. Later that night, I was chilling on the couch, half watching some cheesy rom-com, half scrolling through my phone. The house was quiet, too quiet sometimes, out here in the suburbs. Then I heard it. A soft, distinct click from the living room. Not a settling house sound, not the wind. It was sharper. I snapped my head up, eyes darting to the mirror, then around the room. Nothing. The bookshelves were still, the curtains didn't even twitch. Jesus, Emily, I muttered, rolling my eyes at myself. It's an old house, just the wind, or maybe the fridge. I took a deep breath, telling my heart to calm down, and forced myself to look back at the screen. My nerves are just a bit frazzled, that's all, working too many late nights. It kept happening, though. Not the click, but other little things. Sometimes I'd swear the throw blanket I'd tossed over the armchair was arranged differently, like someone had folded a corner. Or a small picture frame on the mantelpiece was slightly askew. Just barely. Enough for my eyes to catch it, but not enough to be undeniably wrong. Every single time, I'd find some reason. The cat, even though she barely comes into the living room, the vibrations from a truck outside, my own clumsy self. Always a reason. I always found one. And the mirror started to mess with me in subtle ways. I'd be walking past, catch my reflection, and for a split second, I'd see something off. like my reflection's lips were curved in a tiny, almost imperceptible smirk, even though I knew my face was totally blank. Or its eyes. They'd have this weird glint, this spark that wasn't mine. Just for a heartbeat. I'd blink, shake my head, and there I was again. Plain old Emily, looking exactly as tired as I felt. It's the light, I'd tell myself, a little too quickly. Or maybe I need new glasses. Definitely just eye strain from all this screen time. I was so good at brushing it off, at filing away the weirdness under logical explanation pending. It was comforting, that little mental trick. Then came the storm. One night, the sky outside turned into a churning mess of dark gray. Rain lashed against the windows, drumming a frantic rhythm. The wind howled like something truly pissed off. The power flickered, lights dimming and brightening, casting long, dancing shadows across the room. I was trying to read, but my mind just wouldn't settle. The air in the living room felt heavy, cold, not just from the storm, but from something else. A chill that seeped into my bones, originating, I realized with a jolt, from the direction of the antique mirror. A shiver ran straight up my spine, prickling the hairs on my neck. I slowly raised my head, my eyes drawn to the mirror like a moth to a flame. The flickering light made the reflection waver, distort. But this time it was different. My reflection, the me staring back from the other side, didn't look tired or bored. It looked alert. And it wasn't just looking at me or at the room behind me. It felt like it was looking into me, right into my very core. The eyes in the mirror held a gaze that was disturbingly direct, an intensity that was utterly foreign. And then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, a small, knowing smile stretched the reflection's lips, a tiny curve, just enough to send a fresh wave of ice-cold dread washing over me. My breath hitched, my heart hammered against my ribs, loud in my ears. I blinked, hard, over and over. No, God damn it, I whispered, my voice barely audible above the storm. You're just losing it, Emily. You're overtired. The power's messing with your eyes. It's the damn shadows, you idiot. I squeezed my eyes shut, then opened them again, forcing myself to look. The reflection was back to normal. Just me. My own dull, tired expression. The smile was gone. The intense gaze was gone. But the coldness, the cold, unsettling feeling that had gripped me, didn't leave. It lingered. A tiny, icy hand clamped around my throat. If it wasn't the mirror, then what was it? And if my childhood memory was wrong, if that wasn't an illusion, then what the hell was really looking back at me every single day from this mirror? The questions hung in the air, heavy and suffocating, making me shiver uncontrollably. That night after the storm, the one where my reflection had smiled, that creepy, knowing smile, I tried to pretend it didn't happen. Or rather, I filed it away under extreme fatigue plus shaky electricity equals Emily's brain losing its damn mind. I told myself it was just stress, too many late nights staring at a screen, probably just needed a solid 8 hours. No biggie, just a trick of the light, like all the other little things. But man, that comforting mental trick, it was starting to wear thin. I went back to my routine. Woke up, made coffee, sat down with my laptop, pretending everything was business as usual. I ate my lukewarm lunch, scrolled through social media, binge-watched some dumb show in the evening. Normal, completely normal. Except for this tiny, icy knot in my stomach that just wouldn't go away. This feeling like I was walking around with a secret, a really bad one, tucked deep in my gut. And every now and then, when I'd pass the living room, my eyes would just drift to that big, dark, antique mirror. I'd try not to, I'd really try, but it was like it had its own gravitational pull. A quick glance, just to make sure, just to see if it was still innocent, if it was still just a mirror. My logical fortress, the one I'd built brick by brick since I was 7, it felt like it was starting to crack,
tiny hairline fractures running all through the stone. I still didn't want to believe in all that spooky paranormal stuff. Come on, it's 2024. But the things that kept happening, they were getting harder to slap a nice, neat, logical label on. One Tuesday morning, I was groggy, barely awake, made my usual mug of coffee, steaming hot, and placed it on the edge of my work desk, right beside my mouse. Then I turned to grab my headphones.
That's all. Just a quick turn, and then clink, clatter, smash. My favorite coffee mug, the one with the tiny chip from college. It wasn't just on the floor, it was in pieces, shards of ceramic and a dark, spreading puddle on the hardwood. I froze. What the actual fuck? I muttered, my voice tight. My heart jumped right into my throat. I stared at the mess, then at the table. It had been right there, not too close to the edge, I was sure. Must have nudged it, I told myself, a little too loudly. Yeah, must have. Or maybe the neighbor's cat ran past, shook the floor. I squinted. The house was quiet. Too quiet. My neighbor didn't even have a cat, or any pets for that matter. I slowly knelt, starting to pick up the bigger pieces, my hands shaking just a little. Stupid Emily, just clumsy, that's all. But the tiny knot in my stomach tightened. After that, the feeling of being watched intensified. It wasn't just a vague unease anymore. It was like I could feel invisible eyes drilling into the back of my head, or from just around the corner. I'd be walking from the kitchen to the bedroom, and suddenly the hair on my arms would stand on end. Goosebumps. Always goosebumps. I'd whip my head around, fast, ready to catch whoever was there. Nothing. Just empty hallways, silent rooms. But the feeling, it clung to me, especially in the living room. Every time I stepped in there, that gaze would hit me hard. From the mirror. It had to be. My eyes would involuntarily flick to the dark, ornate frame, scanning the glass for something, anything, but it always just showed the room, or my own nervous face. The nights were the worst. Sleep became a battle. I'd be drifting off, and then I'd hear it, a soft creak from the floorboards in the living room, like someone was tiptoeing. Then a faint tap, tap, almost like a nail clicking on wood. I'd shoot up in bed, heart doing a frantic drum solo. Mouse, I'd whisper to myself, trying to sound convincing. Yeah, just a mouse. I'd grab my phone, flashlight on, and creep through the house. Every room empty, every door closed. The living room dark and still. No mice, never any mice in this house. But the sounds, they felt too purposeful to be a settling house, too distinct. And the dreams. Oh God, the dreams. They started almost every night. I'd be 7 years old again, but the house wasn't Grandma's. It was darker, colder, damp. The air smelled of old dust and something metallic, like stale blood. I'd be standing in front of that mirror, the old chipped one, but it was bigger now, so much bigger. And in it, the face, blurry, warped, but closer. It was always just looking at me, not moving, not making a sound, just staring. And the fear, that childhood terror, it was raw, fresh, visceral. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, sheets tangled, body trembling, that sick feeling of dread clinging to me like a wet blanket. That old, repressed memory, it wasn't a ghost story anymore. It was a premonition. I started spending more time in the living room, even when I didn't mean to. I'd just sit, or stand, and look at the mirror. Like it was some kind of puzzle I needed to solve. I'd examine my reflection, searching for the off moments, the smirks, the glints. I'd stare at it, willing it to show me something, anything. I was looking for proof, I guess. Proof that I wasn't going crazy, or maybe proof that I was. I don't know what I wanted more. One evening, I was dead tired, slumped over my laptop on the sofa, trying to finish a client's revision. My head was heavy, my eyelids drooped. I probably dozed off for a minute or two.
When I finally lifted my head, rubbing my eyes, I instinctively glanced at the mirror across the room. My reflection was there, sitting just like me on the sofa, hunched over, exhausted. But its back was twisted at an impossible angle. It was contorted, like someone had snapped its spine and then wrenched it into a grotesque curve. And its head was tilted, eyes wide open, unblinking, fixed right on me. My blood ran cold, my breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move, couldn't blink. That twisted reflection, those piercing eyes, they were real. It was real. No fucking way. I tried to whisper, but no sound came out. I tried to scream, but my throat was locked solid. I was frozen, just staring at that horrifying image of myself, its back bent like a broken doll's, eyes burning into my soul.
Then, with a desperate surge of adrenaline, I blinked, hard, and again. The reflection was back to normal. Just me, my own dull, tired expression. No twisted back, no burning eyes. But then, a sharp, sudden pain shot through my lower back. A wrenching, twisting sensation that made me gasp. It felt like something had just tried to yank my spine out of alignment. I clutched my side, breathing heavily, trying to stand up, but the pain made my legs wobbly. The reflection might have disappeared, but that cold, violating feeling of being watched, of being touched, that was all too real. "Okay, Emily," I muttered, gritting my teeth through the pain. "Okay, no more pretending." I had to know. I needed to see it, to prove it, one way or another. I wasn't just tired. This wasn't just light. The next morning, after a restless night, I dug out one of my old action cameras, the tiny GoPro I used for hiking. I found the smallest tripod I had and carefully set it up in the living room, tucked behind a potted plant, pointing directly at the antique mirror and a good portion of the room. It was discreet, almost invisible. "Let's see you explain this away, bitch," I muttered, more to myself than to the empty room. Or maybe to whatever was in the mirror. I wanted proof, solid, undeniable proof that all of this was just in my head. Or that it wasn't. Either way, I needed answers. I left the camera rolling all day and through the night, trying to ignore it, trying to go about my business. It was hard. Every rustle, every creak, every shadow felt amplified. The coffee cup incident repeated itself in my mind, the twisted reflection. My back still ached, a phantom pain. The following morning, I was practically vibrating with a mix of dread and anticipation. I quickly retrieved the camera, plugged it into my laptop, and started playing back the footage, fast-forwarding through hours of boring, uneventful video. Me working, me eating a sad sandwich. The cat, my actual cat, not the imaginary neighbor's, walking through the frame, ignoring the mirror completely. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I sighed, a long, weary breath. "See, told ya," I mumbled, a wave of relief washing over me. Just a nutcase, just crazy Emily, hallucinating because of stress. I was about to close the file, feeling stupid, when I noticed a slight glitch in the timeline, a tiny jump. I rewound a few seconds, playing it back in real time. It was around 3 a.m. The living room was dark, lit only by the faint, eerie glow of the streetlights filtering through the curtains. And there I was, asleep on the sofa, curled up under a blanket, looking utterly peaceful. But in the mirror, my reflection wasn't sleeping. Its back was straight, eyes wide open. And then, slowly, almost deliberately, it lifted its arm. Not my arm, Emily's arm. It lifted its arm and waved. A slow, gentle wave. Right at the camera. Right at me. My heart seized. It couldn't be. I gripped the edge of my desk, knuckles white. The reflection in the mirror then brought a finger up to its lips. A slow, deliberate gesture, signaling for silence.
My own mouth fell open, but no sound came out. The relief I'd felt seconds ago evaporated, replaced by a cold terror that made my entire body numb. It wasn't an illusion. It was never an illusion. The reflection, it knew. It knew I was watching, and it was telling me to keep quiet. The video footage, that damn video footage, it didn't just crack my logical fortress, it blew the whole damn thing to smithereens, like a wrecking ball made of pure, unadulterated nope. There was no explaining away a reflection that waved at the camera, then put a finger to its lips. None. That wasn't stress. That wasn't a trick of the light. That was something else. Something utterly, terrifyingly real. Sleep became a joke, a cruel, twisted joke that the thing in the mirror was probably laughing at. My nerves were strung tighter than a guitar string before it snaps. Every shadow was a monster. Every creak of the old house was a tiptoeing presence. The mirror, my beautiful antique mirror that I bought because I thought it would bring good vibes, was now just a black hole, a gaping maw of an obsession, a thing that wouldn't stop tormenting me. I tried to fight it. I really did. I tried to go about my day, do my design work, but my cursor would hover, my eyes would drift to the internet. I started searching, desperately, anything.
Cursed mirror stories, paranormal reflections. What if your reflection moves independently? I devoured articles, forums, dusty old books I ordered online, even the cheesy ghost story blogs I used to roll my eyes at. Anything to find a shred of an explanation, anything to cling to, even the craziest, most batshit insane theories I used to laugh at. I was desperate, drowning in it. This wasn't logical. This wasn't me. But here I was, praying to Google for answers, even if they involved demons and ancient curses. My rational, practical Emily self was officially dead and buried. And the house? It felt alive, but not in a good way. It was hostile. The little things escalated fast. One evening, I was making myself a quick dinner, humming along to some pop song. I put my phone on the kitchen counter next to the sink, turned to grab a chopping board from the cabinet. When I turned back, my phone was gone. Just gone. My heart hammered against my ribs. Okay, Emily, don't freak out. You probably moved it without thinking. I searched. Under the counter, in the fridge. Yeah, I checked there. My brain was already fried. In the living room. Nowhere. Then, from the corner of my eye, a glint. On the dining table. My phone. Right in the middle of the empty table. Screen face up, glowing faintly. I hadn't been in the dining room all day. My hand trembled as I picked it up. This wasn't me. This wasn't a mouse. This was deliberate. The whispers started when I was wide awake, faint at first, a low hum, like static, just at the edge of my hearing. Then, distinct words, almost like someone was breathing them right into my ear. My name, Emily. So soft, so close, I could feel a phantom breath on my neck. I'd whip around, my heart leaping into my throat. Nothing, just the silent, suffocating air of my own house. I'd clamp my hands over my ears, squeezing my eyes shut. No, 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 I'd murmur, trying to drown it out, trying to convince myself it was just exhaustion, just my mind playing tricks. But it wasn't. It was real. It was getting bolder. Sometimes a cold touch, like icy fingers brushing my shoulder when I was reaching for something, or a fleeting pressure on my arm. I'd flinch, recoil, a gasp tearing itself from my lungs. Then, later, I'd find it, a faint red scratch on my arm, thin and precise, like a tiny claw had dragged across my skin. I never felt it happen, never saw it, just there. A ghost of pain, a stark red line on my pale skin. What the hell? I'd whisper, touching it, my fingers trembling. The goosebumps were a permanent fixture now, a chilling second skin. And the reflection? Oh God, the reflection. It wasn't just a mirror anymore. It was a goddamn portal to my own personal hell.
It wasn't just mimicking me. It had its own life, its own creepy agenda. I'd be sitting on the sofa, trying to work, trying to pretend. My reflection would be there, hunched over the laptop, just like me. But then I'd be crying, overwhelmed, tears streaming down my face, and its lips would curl into a slow, malicious smirk, a smile that didn't reach its eyes, a smile full of ancient, knowing cruelty. It would watch me, really watch me, with this twisted satisfaction, like my despair was its dinner. One time I saw it, so clear, so undeniable. I was standing in front of the mirror, staring, trying to understand, trying to confront it. My reflection stared back, dead-eyed, vacant. Then, slowly, deliberately, its right hand lifted. My hand, but not mine. It pressed its palm against the glass, and its fingers began to trace something, a swirling, intricate pattern, a symbol I'd never seen before, yet it felt ancient, unspeakably old. And then, as quickly as it appeared, the image shimmered, the symbol vanished, and my reflection was just me, my own terrified, wide-eyed face staring back. My blood ran cold. I felt a weird mix of nausea and a sudden, sharp clarity. This thing was messing with me, playing games, and it was enjoying every single second of it. I was losing it. I knew I was losing it. I couldn't stop looking at the mirror. It was an addiction, a terrible, frightening addiction. Like a moth to a flame, I was drawn to it, terrified of what would happen if I turned my back, terrified of what I'd miss, what it would do. But looking only made it worse. Every glance was a fresh stab of fear, every flicker of movement in the glass a new horror. My grip on reality, on my precious logic, was slipping.
Then, one particularly bad night, after another round of whispers and a fresh, burning scratch on my leg, a memory resurfaced. Not the one I'd dismissed, the raw, unfiltered version. Grandma's house, the dark bathroom, the chipped mirror, the face. It wasn't an illusion. It was never an illusion. A chilling thought, cold and sharp, pierced through my panic. What if it wasn't the mirror itself, but me? What if I was the common thread? What if it had been with me all along? I needed to know more about that old mirror, about Grandma's things. Maybe there was something, a clue, anything. Desperate, I grabbed my phone, fingers fumbling through my contacts. Aunt Sarah, Mom's younger sister. She was always good with family history, with remembering the details. I called her. It took a few rings. "Hey, Aunt Sarah, Emily here." My voice was raspy, thin, a pathetic attempt at casualness. "Emily, honey, how are you? Long time no talk. Everything okay?" Her voice was bright, normal, too normal. Yeah, everything's great," I lied, my heart pounding in my chest. "Just busy. Listen, I was actually calling about something random." I took a deep breath. "You know, I'm doing some deep cleaning around the house, and it just made me think about Grandma's old place, all her stuff." "Oh, bless her heart," Aunt Sarah sighed gently. "She had so many beautiful things." "Yeah, exactly. I was just remembering some of her stuff. Like, the old bathroom mirror, the chipped one she had." I tried to make it sound like a fond childhood memory, not a recurring nightmare. "I remember I used to stand in front of it for ages when I was little, making funny faces." I forced a weak chuckle. "One time, I remember I saw this weird face in it, totally blurry, but it was just an illusion, obviously. The light in that bathroom was always so bad, and that mirror was super old, probably warped the reflection. Kids' imaginations, right?" I held my breath, waiting, praying for her to confirm my carefully constructed lie. For her to say, "Oh yeah, that old thing. It was a mess, always distorted things." Aunt Sarah paused, a beat of silence on the line. Then her voice, utterly calm, utterly unconcerned, came through the speaker. "Oh, that bathroom mirror? Bless her heart. She actually threw that out ages ago, honey. Right after Grandpa passed away, I think it was.
She never liked it, said it always gave her the creeps, felt so gloomy. She just wanted to change the atmosphere in the house, so she replaced it with a brand new, shiny one almost immediately after. The phone slipped from my numb fingers. It hit the hardwood floor with a dull thud, the sound echoing in the sudden, cavernous silence of my living room. Aunt Sarah's words, they pierced through me, sharp and cold, shattering every single piece of the logical foundation I'd spent almost 2 decades building. If that mirror, the chipped old bathroom mirror, wasn't even there, if Grandma had thrown it out ages before I ever saw that face, then what the hell did I see? My carefully crafted explanation of it was just an illusion, bad lighting, an old mirror, crumbled to dust. There was nothing to stand on, nothing. Just an abyss. A cold, terrifying, unanswerable question ripped through my mind, making me tremble, every single cell in my body screaming. If it wasn't that mirror, then what was it? Slowly, agonizingly slowly, my head turned towards the antique mirror in my living room. My reflection stared back. But those eyes, they weren't mine anymore. Not really. Or at least they didn't feel like mine. That terrifying realization settled deep in my bones, a chilling certainty. Maybe they never were. And if it was never an illusion, then what is truly looking back at me from this mirror every single day? The reflection of me sitting on the sofa, eyes wide with terror, slowly, so slowly, brought its hand up. Not my hand, its hand. It pressed its palm against the glass, and a hazy, faint handprint appeared, shimmering like mist. And then the lips of my reflection curled upwards, into a slow, chilling smirk, a smile that wasn't mine, a smile that promised an eternity of dread. A cold, unbearable chill shot straight through my chest, freezing my blood. I knew then. It had always been there, waiting, watching, and now it was ready to play.